Hi everyone, today we're talking about the first 5 things I do when I get to a campsite. And shout out to my patron Ed Curry for suggesting this video topic. So we're going to go over everything I do when I first get to a campsite in an unfamiliar place before I start setting everything up. And stick around because at the end I'm going to go over the order that I set up all of my gear, which you might find surprisingly helpful. Stick around. Hi, I'm Tim, and this is my channel FTA Adventures. Today we're talking about the first 5 things I do at an unfamiliar campsite. And jumping right in, number 1 is a trash check. I'm going to look around for any litter and try to determine if the site looks like a place that people might come to party. That would be an excess of beer cans, trash that looks like it was brought specifically to dump there, mattresses, abandoned clothes, anything that might clue me in that the locals might use this as a dumping ground or a drunken hangout. And bonus points if you find needles, then you definitely know you're in the wrong area. I have found lots of places where it's very clear that a party or two has taken place, and I always avoid those spots because I never know if people might be coming back while I'm there sleeping. And while we're talking about people, I also do a neighbor check. If there are people close by that I can't avoid, do they look like they might be partying all night and disturbing my quiet night at camp? Are there young children at a nearby campsite that might wake up early and start running around and screaming while I'm still nestled away in my sleeping bag and trying to finish my dreams? Any clue of existing or potential bad neighbors are the first thing that will send me packing to another site. Once the site has passed this check, which is non-negotiable for me, the next thing I do is an animal check. I look for evidence of any animals or homes. That would be poop, nests, trails, footprints, etc. This is not a cardinal rule for me, but I do like to know what animals might inhabit the area or which ones might actually have a home there or nearby. Cows are another issue. A lot of dispersed camping is also open range for cattle, which means cows can come wandering through your campsite. This isn't the end of the world, but you might want to make sure you aren't laying on a path where they might be trampling. Basically, these first 2 steps are all about acclimating to your surroundings and determining any hazards and an overall threat level. As a matter of fact, number 3 goes along the same lines, which brings us to the next step, which is an aesthetic assessment of the site. Step number 3 is to scope out the layout of the site. This is going to be where I take note of where the sun is and where it will be coming up in the morning, and this way I can position my tent accordingly. I also like to start figuring out where the best places are going to be for my tent, my bike, where will I cook my food and eat, things like that. Very often this is when I'll take my chair out, set it up, grab a snack and maybe make some coffee, and kind of sit down for a break. This allows me to pause and take it all in, and really get acclimated to my environment. Typically, the structure of my campsite becomes naturally evident after doing this. It's also nice to take a breather before setting up anyways. And it's nice to take a moment to listen to the silence. And if there is any noise you didn't hear on your bike while you were coming into camp, it should become evident. That means noisy neighbors you didn't see but are within earshot. Before I start setting up though, there are a few more checks and tasks, which brings us to step number 4. Number 4 is a hazard check. This means looking for dead limbs up in the trees, also called widowmakers, or even dead trees that are still standing that could potentially fall over during the night if the wind picks up or a storm blows through. I also look to see if there's potential for a car to come into my campsite at night by accident if they didn't realize someone was camping there. Would they see me before they ran me over? Common sense things like that. Basically, I'm asking myself, what if it rains or the wind picks up? Am I in a good spot? If the answer is yes, then we have a winner. But before I set up, there is one more thing I do, and that is to collect firewood if applicable, if I can have a campfire. I do this before setting up in case it gets dark before I finish. I don't want to have to collect firewood in the dark because of snakes and other hazards, but setting up my tent in the dark is a reasonable task, something I've done more times than I care to admit. I don't start the fire right away, but I just get that stuff ready. Collect small, medium, and large chunks of wood, maybe even build a little teepee with it, so that it's ready to light when I'm all settled in. If it is particularly cold, I might light this as I'm setting up, but typically I wait for the sun to go down and finish setting up, and when I'm ready to sit down and start making dinner, I'll light my fire. Collecting firewood isn't always the next thing I do because if I can't have a fire where I'm camping, then it's not a task that needs to be done. If that's the case, I begin setting up camp. So those are the first 5 things I do when I get to a campsite. So here's the bonus, the order of setup. The first thing I'll do is locate my headlamp and keep that handy. I know it's always in my tank bag, but I make sure to find that right away and keep it in my pocket. This way, if the sun drops a little quicker than I expect, or if I just lose track of time, I'm ready for that. Next, I put the tarp down and lay on that to check if it's flat and that there aren't any rocks or sticks that need to be moved. Once that's done, the next thing I do is set up my tent. Then my air mattress, pillow, sleeping bag. Then I pack up my duffel bag with things that I don't need and that don't need to go in my tent. Take my boots off and put them in there too. Basically, I just start organizing everything. Then I put my charger in the tent with the cable for my Bluetooth and my phone, and then I start getting my cooking gear up. And that's about it. I'm ready to sit down and relax and enjoy the evening. So that's what I do when I first get to a campsite in an unfamiliar place. Neighbor check, animal check, hazard check, aesthetic layout, collect firewood, set up and relax. There is a method to what I do, and I have perfected my own personal routine. Hopefully my routine will help you perfect your own routine, which when you get it down and you get a rhythm around motorcycle camping, it really is incredibly rewarding. If you're looking for motorcycle camping tips and information, things about gears, hazards to be aware of, and more, you can check out my new book, The Fundamentals of Motorcycle Camping, now available on Amazon as paperback and ebook. Anyways, thanks for watching. Here is a playlist with more camping tips, and I'll see you in the next video.